Hey guys, it's me Yanni and welcome to my channel. If you are returning, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm doing another DIY and I am going to show you how I made 2 copper nightstands. So what you're going to need for this DIY is some wood and copper. Now the amount of wood and the amount of copper you need all depends on you. That depends on how big you want your tables to be and how tall you want your tables to be. But I'm going to go ahead and put the measurements of everything, which you can also see here on the screen, in the description box below, so you'll know how tall and how wide my copper tables were. You're also going to need some copper caps, some copper tees, straps, and nails, which you'll use to adjoin your wood pieces to your copper. You're also going to need a drill, some adhesive, strong adhesive like E6000, some paint, and I highly suggest you use semi-gloss or anything like that, which is usually used for cabinets, a paint roller, and some gloves. And you'll also need sandpaper or sanding block. You will also need, if you decide to cut your copper yourself, a measuring tape and a copper cutter. Now these are just some additional items I realized I needed while I was in the process of this, and it was definitely time consuming and very, very boring, especially when you are cutting the copper. It takes forever and my hands were so wrought and in so much pain by the time I was done. But just to let you know, I watched tons of old episodes of Scrubs as well as Zootopia. It takes that long. I had to take breaks, types of stuff like that. But what you see here right now is I have my 6 5-feet copper pieces. I initially bought 3 10-feet copper pieces, but I couldn't fit them into my car, so I went and purchased the 6 5-feet copper pieces, and they were a bit more expensive, hence why I wanted to get the 10-feet ones, but that's okay. And as you can see, I'm measuring and cutting the copper, which was extremely time consuming. So this is after I've cut most of the pieces of the copper. So the next day, I lined up all of my pieces and gave them different labels. I decided that I would build models of the nightstands prior to permanently affixing the pieces together, just in case I cut something a little wrong or something didn't fit correctly. Because this is a 2-tiered nightstand, I decided to build the model of the bottom portion first. The bottom portion requires 4 A pieces, 4 B pieces, 1 C piece, and 6 copper tees, as well as 4 copper caps in total. And please note, if you're doing 2 of these nightstands, you just need to double up the numbers. So the A pieces serve as the legs, and the B pieces, connected by a copper tee, is the support for the wood, and the C pieces serve as the support going across the width of the wood, if that makes any type of sense. This is really hard to describe, hence why it's always better to read directions. And something else you should note is that copper pieces that aren't glued together already are extremely flimsy and fall apart, hence why it's really hard to build the models, and it took longer to build them than to glue them together. Just a tip that I picked up while building these is you want to make your C pieces and your wood pieces have the same width, and you want your B pieces to be 1/4 of an inch less than half the length of your wood pieces. So my final wood pieces were 9.5 by 11.5, so my B pieces were 4.5 each, and my C pieces were 11.5. And just a quick reminder to you guys, the full directions will be in the description box below. However, I did make my nightstands just a little bit different from the initial directions that I've used. So for the top tier, you're going to need 4 B pieces, 2 C pieces, 2 D pieces, which serve as your front legs, and 4 E pieces, which make up 2 of the back legs. The top tier also requires 8 copper tees and 4 copper caps. So in general, you're just going to need a lot of copper tees and copper caps for this project. And to make the little signs where I annotate which pieces are which, I just got some Post-its and taped them down to my tarp. So now I'm going to take my E6000 and permanently put my pieces together. And E6000 is really hard to work with, so I highly suggest you have like napkins nearby to help you wipe off any excess glue that kind of overflows when you're trying to stick your copper pieces together. So these were the nightstands waiting to dry after I had glued everything together. While the copper was drying, I started sanding down the wood pieces to prep them for painting and placed them onto the copper to see if they would actually fit together correctly. And I used a glove for this because sanding wood is and can be dangerous. So I used this white Sherwin-Williams paint and primer in semi-gloss, and honestly I didn't even need that much just to paint the wood pieces. And for the two-tiered stand, I needed 2 pieces of wood each, one for the bottom portion and one for the top portion. So here I am painting the 4 wood pieces together. You want to make sure that you get the sides so that there's just no brown parts sticking out from the wood if that's the look you're going for. Now if you don't care, you don't have to, but I wanted the surface to be white all the way around, and I also applied 2 to 3 coats on each side of the wood pieces. Once the wood and the copper had dried, it was now time to screw them together. So here I'm taking a strap and my nails and drilling them into each other, I guess. Now you want to be careful with drilling. If you're much more professional than I am, you're probably a lot better at this, but I did lose a nail in one of the wood pieces. So be very careful not to over drill. Once they're in there and they're not going any further, just stop drilling and keep it moving. They should be good to go. So once you're done drilling your wood pieces to both the bottom tier and the top tier of your nightstands, you're going to want to put both the bottom and top parts together. So you're going to just pull your E6000 back out and squirt some glue down into the copper tees and just put them together. This is actually a really difficult part because what you want to do is not only get them together, but you want to make sure that the table is leveled correctly and it's not on a slant and none of the legs are crooked. So you really have to use some muscle strength to push the top tier down into the bottom tier's copper tees. I even turned the table over to ensure that the pieces fit as snug as possible. And once you've got the top tier and bottom tier put together snugly and it's leveled, you want to go ahead and put your copper caps on each corner of your copper nightstands. This prevents you from dropping things down into the actual copper piping of your tables. And you're also going to want to keep a napkin or cloth near you just to clean up the glue. And here are the 2 nightstands. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please make sure to give me a thumbs up. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this from me. I love you guys. Till next time. Bye.